Hi, my name is Talia. I'm a high school senior and I love teaching others about chemistry. This YouTube channel is an extra resource for anyone who may be needing some help in their chemistry classes. This week I'm going to be talking about selective precipitation, so if you would like to learn more about that, keep on watching. And without further ado, let's get started. So I'm first going to do kind of an overview of what selective precipitation is. So selective precipitation is just the method used to filter out certain ions of a solution when a solution has more than one ion in it. So we use solubility to separate these ions out. So you use the ions that are already in the solution and you find another ion using the solubility chart that will only make a precipitate with one of the ions already in the solution and not with any of the other ones. So you pour that ion into the solution along with an escort ion, and the two insoluble ions come together and form a precipitate, and then you can filter that out, and then you've gotten rid of one of the ions in your original solution. So an escort ion is just soluble with the ion being added as well as the other ions in the solution. There are a couple ions that are really good to use because they're soluble with everything. So like alkali ions are soluble with all anions, and H plus is soluble with all anions, ammonium is soluble with all anions. Nitrate, chlorate, hypochlorite, perchlorate, or acetate is soluble with all cations. Okay, so I'm just filming this small part in a different location, but we are now going to do one example problem, and I like to make a table for my selective precipitation problems where I have the ions I'm trying to filter on the top, and then I write the ions I'm going to pour into the solution on the left side, and that kind of just helps organize the problem. Okay, so I've drawn out my table. I'm going to write my ions on top. So I have Ba2+, Ag+, and Ca2+, and then I will write my insoluble ions that I choose on the left. Okay, so I'm going to go down my hunt again. Let's find something that is insoluble with only one of these ions. So if I go down my list, I notice that sulfide is insoluble with Ag+, but it is soluble with barium 2+ and calcium 2+. So I'm going to use sulfide as my first ion. And now we want to pick a spectator ion. We want to pick a cation. So I'm going to go on my solubility chart, and I'm going to pick sodium. So I'm going to add Na2S, and then that is going to form the precipitate between silver and sulfur, the silver ion and the sulfide ion. So that is going to precipitate, I'm going to abbreviate it as PPT, Ag2S, and then C we are going to filter. So I'm just going to update my chart, and then this is going to be no precipitate here, no precipitate here. So now we have filtered out the silver. Next, we want either barium or calcium. So I'm going to keep searching on my list, and I notice that hydroxide is soluble with barium but insoluble with calcium. Because calcium is not an alkali ion, it is not H+, it is not NH4+, it is not Ba2+, and it is not Sr2+. So I am going to write my next set of steps. My spectator ion this time, I will make cesium. So I'm going to add, CSOH. I'm going to make a precipitate of CaOH2. And then I'm going to filter. And also something you can do that I forgot to mention in the first problem, you can write your escort ion on the side next to the insoluble ion. So I put Na+ there, and let's put Cs2+ over here. Okay, next we just want something that's insoluble with barium, which we can use sulfate. And again, yes, it is insoluble with calcium and Ag+, but those two have both been precipitated out of the solution. So our third step is going to be to add, and this time I will choose potassium, K2SO4. I'm going to also write potassium over there. I'm going to make a precipitate of BaSO4. And then finally, I'm going to filter. So this is going to be precipitate. And then we have successfully filtered out all of the ions in our solution, and that is how you do selective precipitation problems. So you just want to make sure that you are not putting in an ion that will make a precipitate with two of the ions already in your solution. You only want to do one at a time, so you just have to be strategic. That was this week's video. Next week I will be talking about solution stoichiometry, so join me back next week if you would like to learn more about that. I hope you enjoyed, and please feel free to leave any questions or comments you may have in the comment section below. Good luck with learning the rest of your chemistry.